Hi, it's Triva. I'm gonna show you a card I made with Sakatoa stamp set from Altenew. I begin to fasten my card base down to my glass mat with some tape runner, and then I take my embossing body and prep that for embossing. With the help of the largest triangle from the Sakatoa stamp set and the Altenew embossing ink, I just stamp on my card base, making sure that the triangles overlap a little bit all over the base. I'm gonna speed it up a little bit and then I will be back. I decide to use the embossing powder from Altenew in pure white. I think it's best to shake the pot a little bit to loosen up the ink before pouring it over my stamped image. Then I take my heat gun and use that to melt the embossing. You can see when it's ready, when the embossing powder goes from this matte kind of finish to a shiny one. When I have finished melting all the embossing powder on my card base, it's time to take out my Altenew mini ink cubes to color my card base. And with my blending brush and the Wisteria, Ultraviolet and Andromeda, I ink my card base in kind of ombre effect. I'm gonna speed it up a little bit and then I will be back. One thing I've learned when inking, and I learned it the hard way, it's always possible to get ink on your fingers and then transfer it to the card base and make like an ink smudge. So when I'm inking with more than one colors, I usually take a piece of scrap paper, lay it on my surface and have my fingers rest on the scrap paper just to prevent any fingerprint ink smudging what it's not supposed to be. I go back and forth from a light to dark to try to blend out or smooth out the ink seams, where the two ink colors meet. I'm gonna have it speeded up and I will be back when it's done. When I finished inking up my card base, I always find it's best to take a soft cloth and just kind of buff over the embossing to take the excess ink away. When I was putting my card on my card front, I decided it was a little bit big, so I took out my cutter and cut like a teeny tiny strip of all four sides of my card base. Then I use my tape runner to fasten my card base to my card. And after that, it was time for the sentiment. I was looking through my Sakatoa stamp set, figuring out what sentiment I wanted to use. I decided to go with You Rock. And my first plan was to stamp it a couple of times, excuse me, and have it like a strip all over the card, but I didn't like the idea at the end, so I stamped the sentiment again in the upper corner of the stamps of the card, the paper I was using, and used a second and third generation, so it was like triple saying, if that makes sense. That's when I decided it wasn't what I wanted to do, so I inked my sentiment back up, and oh no, I didn't. I just stamped it 3 times. And then I cut my sentiment out with my paper trimmer and decided to have this flag fish, I don't know, what do you say? Like this banner points on my saying. And a tip that I learned a couple of years ago was to take your scissors and kind of find the middle and cut a little strip into the paper, and then angle your scissors from one corner to that slit, and then from the other corner, and then you can have kind of even flag banner, fish banner, I don't know. I have to learn which one is the right one. Anyhow, after I cut my sentiment, I took my purple blending brush and just used what ink was in it, just to make a little bit of purple shadow on my sentiment strip. Put some 3D foam tape behind and put it on my card, and decided to make that done. I hope you like my first ever card video. Hopefully my English and my speaking will get better after a couple of videos. Not promising anything, but hopefully. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.